Hi guys, I'm Shyla and I'm here with Yellow Media today, and I am joined by Sylvain Martin from Scrypt.
Correct,
So thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, I just wanted to ask, what's your opinion on, we've seen like ETFs flooding like liquidity into the market at the moment. Where do you think that leaves OTC, the edge that OTCs used to have?
No, because the OTCs are providing the liquidity for the ETFs underlying,
okay.
right? So who are the market makers or OTC desks there? I think there's flow desk in funds, there's B2C2, there's Wintermute, the big guys are on the BlackRock ETF underlying Chain Street. Those people are trading all those positions OTC.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting take. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it's happening there. The big liquidity or the big movements you see on the big desks, they are doing that, and they're starting to focusing more on those proteins, because if you get BlackRock as a client, it's more interesting than some smaller fish, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which reshuffle some client share elsewhere, which is fine, right?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, is there? So coming to the Zug question, we've got the MiCA influence or MiCA influence now, and they're live across Europe, and everybody's being compliant and spending all their money to make sure that they're compliant. Yeah. Where do you think that leaves Zug now with the edge that they had?
That's a very good question, because I was trying to understand the answer to this as well. Like, what is it exactly? I definitely think Switzerland has lost a bit the game on that front, because MiCA kind of set the standard for Europe.
And it's coming from Europe,
and
which
it's
is
coming
different.
from Europe, right? So what is Switzerland doing? The government in FINMA is kind of issuing a new license regime for all the VASP or CASPs in Switzerland, meaning in the next 2-3 years this will change, which is more aligned with MiCA, but it still doesn't, give you the ability to properly interact with MiCA. So all Swiss players who are doing something in financial services related or HASP services related have to have a European setup approach. Zug still remains a very attractive place, right? Taxes are good. The financial ecosystem is quite good. You have the jurisdiction in itself, which is forward-looking and positive. I mean, you see it now with the conflict in the Middle East. A lot of capital moves back to Switzerland. So this is not just lost, right? It's there. It has built up a narrative over many years now, and the question is, how is it going to be maintained in the future?
Yeah. How does it affect you? How are you looking at MiCA going forward? Is that something that you want to be aligned with? Are you just, or are you just keeping an eye on it?
No, we are full on it. We are in the final stages of the licensing process. I mean, we have clients across the world. Europe is a big strategic relevance for us, so we need to have it, right? It's just a question of when and where.
My next question is, everybody is excited about RWAs and taking things online and that sort of thing, but do you really think that there's a real live demand for it when the secondary market liquidity is quite shallow?
Yeah, that's really the challenge since many years, right? Everyone thought 2020 is the big RWA year, but nothing happened. I mean, you have seen recently the TVL on that fan quite rapidly increased, so it's definitely coming. And it's coming also because the BlackRocks of the world are playing. They're there. The bigger banks are issuing bonds or finding ways to securitize and tokenize those kind of elements. So it's there, it's coming. It's a question of time when the infrastructure and liquidity also will be there, because as soon as there's no other choice to trade on chain, then you have to, right?
Yeah. So you're just saying it's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
I think I'm hearing the same from most people, to be honest. At the moment, we've got a few mechanics in place to eliminate counterparty risks. So we've got atomic settlement, tri-party collateral, that sort of thing. Do you genuinely see a time where there won't be a need for like a central sort of party to, govern this sort of thing?
Yeah, if everything moves DeFi, then we don't need those kind of setups, because it's purely smart contract based. But as long as there is this world, or there will be this world of centralized finance and traditional finance moving on chain, there's always those kind of structures around.
So with AI agents coming into play, there's a lot more sort of agentic AI on-chain transactions happening. How can you protect your order flow when over time there's going to be sort of more bots in the market than humans.
I find that interesting because if we look back, like strategies and automation and trading bots have always been here, right?
Right,
It's not
yeah.
new because now we have AI agents, right? So platforms, APIs, they're already designed or have the capabilities that trading bots can execute or trade their strategy on order books or other desks or brokers, etc.
Yeah.
So now the question is an agentic payment or an agent very different, or does it more or less act the same?
Yeah.
So does it need really new calibration from a technical perspective to say, hey, we are compliant, or our platform has the ability to offer execution against AI agents, yes or no? I mean, I think you see the use case in the DEXs, right? The hyperliquids, those kind of DEXs right now. A lot of polymarket, right? There's like the new AI agent polymarket bot going insane.
Yeah.
Now it just put AI in front, right?
Yeah.
Other people would have automatically programmed this beforehand, right? So I think it's a bit of a hype in some ways, but certainly there's a question: how does your system interact with it? And also, at some point, is it compliant enough, right? Obviously, as long as execution happens, the trading desk is always happy. He's only concerned around settlement and about counterparty risk. But then the question is the client aware of what the execution is doing, or is it just going loose? Right?
Yeah, it's a going road.
So it's also protecting the client's position. It's also noticing certain patterns, which you would say, hey, I think something is wrong. Maybe I give you a call and say, I think your agent went off track, right?
Yeah. This is going off piece and doing whatever it wants. Yeah, but I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess the main difference is that these ones could become autonomous and start acting of their own accord. Agentic stuff,
yeah.
right?
I mean, there also you need to work with parameters, right?
Yeah.
Thresholds, limits. You can't just let it loose because otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here today. I think.
But what you're saying is fundamentally it's the same as the tech that already existed with the bots and everything else. So
so trading bots or automation was already there, right?
Yeah. So we have big banks coming into play: Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and they're all building custody and trading built into it. So do you really think that there's a chance that, say, a startup or somebody like a smaller company could actually compete with the likes of them, because all they're doing is looking at what's out there and then copying it and making their own? So
yeah, that's always a tricky question, right? You're an entrepreneur, you're a founder, you're kind of like innovating initially, or you're taking the risk, and then you have someone a slow horse like a JP Morgan, which is after 10 years thinking, okay, we enable trading now, right? And they're like, oh, but I've been there first. But I think the big corporates have to also just ask the question of, is it build or buy, right? And that gives opportunities for the smaller company of saying, hey, if we have, invested 7, 8, 5 years, whatever time it is, in building the company and building the infrastructure. And it's not just the plug and play. There's also some other bits and bobs we have to work out. Maybe that's an exit event for them. Great, right? On the other side, the banks or the big corporates also look at it. We're losing our client base if we don't offer it. We're behind the game, right?
Yeah.
So we have to kind of close that gap for themselves too, or realize that on the normal banking infrastructure and bank accounts, you're not making that much money anymore, right? So where are the volumes? Where is the flows?
Yeah.
And it's a natural involvement, but this is, no matter what it is, crypto or something else, there's always this difference between the innovator and the risk taker, and then someone which is already in the game and absorbs, buys, or builds themselves, right?
Yeah, I do find it hard to, it'd be great if it happens, but for somebody in like the DeFi world to grow to the point and achieve a reputation that helps them just become a product that is adopted by these big banks, rather than the banks just sort of wanting to create something centralized again, So I think there will be a company that becomes the bridge.
Yeah, there was Aave, which bought that app, which kind of integrated their liquidity pool and lending piece into that app, which is used by many retail users. So that's kind of how this bridge can, merge in some ways. Something what we're trying to set up is on more on the asset management side, where we say, hey, we have to regulate the traditional infrastructure and front face, which all the compliance people like. But underlying, we can set up smart contract structures to manage capital on chain in a very, very elegant way. So new opportunities arise on that front too. So you can kind of, you want to bridge those two elements, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that. Coming to talking about the markets, at the moment, crypto has started to trade like a macro asset. How do you think that affects people or traders that have sort of relied on or survived on the volatility of crypto all these years?
Well, it's still volatile. Right?
Yeah,
It just went up 10% throughout the last couple of days. I think the volatility is more derived from America right now than
it's
anywhere
manufactured
else.
volatility
In
at the
some
moment.
ways, I think what it was before, a lot of this cycle kind of approach of Bitcoin halving derives everything, and then the altcoin season is coming, and all of that kind of gets a bit mixed up now. And I think that's a result of, if we all scream, we need to have the big boys in the game, we need to have Wall Street on chain, then we also need to live with the consequence that markets are going to change or going to be more, let's say, maybe not manipulated, but influenced by those kind of players which have different capital, right? So you see retail flows are very, very dry right now. It's a lot of only institutional around. It's a bit challenging, right? The volatility is low. A lot of trading strategies are not performing that well because they rely on order books being full or being thick and not thin anymore. So it's a phase. But that's also a question of how the market is maturing over time. We are at 2.5-3 trillion in that range, up and down. How does it look like when we are at 10? Right? Is it an asset class which will grow that far? Yeah, I think so.
We were begging for the institutions to take crypto seriously, and now that they are, we've got to roll with the punches and
you cannot scream, finally make the Bitcoin ETF happen, and then you're annoyed that the price is not above 100K for longer. You know, like, okay, there are other movements at place and forces at place, which if you have players like this coming in, then you have to live with it.
No, absolutely, I agree with that. So last question is about people taking digital assets seriously. So we find that family offices, they're sort of experimenting with digital assets rather than going all in. What do you think needs to change for crypto to become like a long-term play rather than just like a small speculation play for the family offices?
I think what helps is that it is considered a portfolio or part of the portfolio. And that means crypto will get an allocation, maybe not yet large, right? It's still in the low digit percentage. However, it is already part of a portfolio approach. The second part is you have a generation change happening, specifically the family offices. This is more relevant or more that noticeable, that you have the younger generation, which is like, hey, we need to have investments in that asset class, or we need to be more risk seeking, or all these index funds and bonds have been great, but now so that's the other part. And it's a question of time in some ways. It's a portfolio approach, which is there. I think from BlackRock has pushed that quite hard the past couple of years. And then it's an education as well. So how easy is it for a family office to go or to integrate it in their portfolio? Is it a big cap, a short cap? Is it easy? Is it complicated? And I think that's why that's also why Scrypt exists in some ways, where we said, hey, we want to make that seamless for you guys. You can rely on a partner which knows what we're doing on that front. You don't need to worry about infrastructure. You don't need to worry about custody, about, is it the right tool or not? And you focus on the asset itself and consider it as investment and re-handle everything around it.
Okay, great. That was a really good answer. I agree with a lot of it. I think over time, the youngers will probably be a bit more open to it. And that brings me to the end of my questions, but I just wanted to give you a chance to just tell us and share with the viewers if you have any exciting sort of things coming up on your roadmap, or where you're going to be next, what events that you're interested in attending, where can we learn more about you, everything else.
Yes, so for sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It was super cool. I mean, we are 7 years around. It's for us. This year is really about growth and expansion. There will be a few announcements, hopefully this year, about additional licensing, about additional markets we're tapping into.
Nice.
So excited about this. The team is growing. Obviously, the product vertical is there. There's always iterations. There's always improvements happening, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you can read about online. We will host and make noise when we can, and about what we're proud of. But more importantly, we have been here, and we're staying here in this market.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out.